we have a ton of value and ton of opportunity to like bring to sellers right now, even if they aren't like heavily motivated, just because there's no one to buy stuff, right? And there are tons of people out there that have great assets that just want to be done with the property, and they will sell it to you at a discount because you're the best option. What's going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today, I have exciting news. Dan is kicking off with a news brief that he is so excited about. Dan, take it away.
Oh my God, you're such a jackass.
All right, never mind. We'll scratch that.
I do have a good news update though. Side note, the news brief will come and it's going to be better than what Mike can do. All right,
so there you go. There's Dan after he was talking mad trash before he hopped into this. But welcome to the Real Estate Investing.
All these topics were boring.
Yeah, no, it's the news though, right? But welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, guys, where I, Mike DeHaan, and my co-host here, Dan Austin, talk about real estate investing, business, and whatever else we feel like. And after Dan was sharing some very strong opinions about how boring like news update shows are, I figured that he would, have something more exciting that he wanted to share with you today. But
I do enjoy a good, market update, but the data points you had were boring.
Well, the thing is though, is like, honestly, if you look at like the economy right now, especially with real estate, it kind of is really fucking boring. Like there, especially after we were just on the like methamphetamine driven, insane market for the last 3 years. Right now, where it's kind of just kind of flat, and it's just a stalemate. Like, people aren't even talking about if it's going to crash anymore or if it's going to go up. All that talk's over. Everyone's just kind of stopped talking about real estate in general.
Yeah, they're just like, ugh.
Yeah,
it's not exciting.
It is. It's super unexciting. So, like, the couple points that were sent over are that, home sales are pretty much like the same. Like, they're not
so boring.
Not a lot has gone up, not a lot's gone down, but more people are looking at houses. So there's more real estate curious people out there, right? And then with like volume of, price points, right, in different markets, the biggest drop year over year is in Austin, Texas, which is no surprise, which is only down 7%. Most markets have changed less than 1% across the United States. So there's like nothing from year over year. It's just exactly the same. And
really just flat,
and this is despite interest rates. This is despite, the affordability issue, the housing issue, all this sort of stuff. That's just kind of like whatever in the real estate game right now.
It's just like whatever. Yeah. But you want to know what's not boring is the wins channel in the Instant Investor group. That
true.
Thing was popping this week.
Yeah,
on fire, tons of wins. If you're not part of the Instant Investor group, you're missing out. This time to jump in because it's actually a lot of fun.
It is. So the Instant Investor is our group mastermind, and I don't know what happened over the last month, but I feel like literally all of the members just found their stride, and there have just been deals popping off left and right all over the place. It's been super fun to see. Like, we have guys. One guy said that he made. I've already talked about this one last week too. I don't remember, but he made as much in a week as he used to make at like his old salary. Right, that he had sick. Just last year, and so that
is the power of real estate, ladies and gentlemen.
It is, and that's the thing too. Is as I've looked at how that's the people there have started to really scale up, looking at our own business, talking to other friends that we have in the business, even like the fact that real estate is kind of flat on a consumer end, I think is actually a really good sign for investors, especially if you're doing direct to seller marketing and sales, which if you want to make actual money in this business, you shouldn't be relying on some realtor to bring you stuff. Like, you can't wait for opportunities. You have to seek opportunities if you want to do anything seriously in life. And like, we have a ton of value and ton of opportunity to like bring to sellers right now, even if they aren't like heavily motivated, just because there's no one to buy stuff. Right. And there are tons of people out there that have great assets that just want to be done with the property, and they will sell it to you at a discount because you're the best option besides going on the market.
They're tired of They're tired of people walking through their house on the real estate curious walkthroughs when they're just showing up to these open houses in their neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like they're tired of that. They're like, you're not a real buyer.
I like that real estate curious. We should definitely make that. I'm real estate curious shirt. That's just funny.
Oh, dang. There you go.
But
can we put some graphics?
Yeah, we
on
definitely. Hey, Daniel, when you listen to this, you should put make an I'm real estate curious shirt. Daniel's our designer who does a lot of our swag and different things.
Can we, in this shirt, can we have a rainbow in the background with a unicorn jumping out of it?
We gotta be careful. We're getting on sensitive subjects, sensitive fine line.
All right, I went too far.
Yeah.
Dan went too far.
But no. So like, I mean, even right now, we're closing on a property here. They're buying on seller finance. We're buying it on seller finance with awesome turns and at a discount, purely because it's older people and they're like, we could sell it on the market. We know it needs a tiny bit of work. It's an A-class neighborhood out here in North Idaho. But they're willing to take the hit just because they don't want to deal with the process. They know that if they put it on the market, they're just going to get beat down by inspections and stuff and end up selling at a discount anyway. So they might as well just take the sure thing. And that is happening all over the place. Like, we had 2 people this week get houses with pools in the Instant Investor program.
Nice
houses.
Very nice houses.
With pools.
Yeah. Nice pools too. Not like the ones we've seen. Like with the waters like still like good
with like water slides and stuff. And it's funny. And they were sending him over. I was like, is this like a listing that you get? And he's like, no. That
is that your comp?
that this is the actual house that I'm buying. I was like, damn. Yeah. You know, if I would love to live in that house, let alone own it as an investor.
For sure.
It's a really, really interesting time. And, you know, I think that it like, if you were kind of on the fringe of starting to market or just like double down on building your business systems, it is time to start taking this seriously, because the longer the stalemate goes on, the more and more those people that are, you know, considering selling and are realizing they might not be able to have as simple of a process as they hoped on the market, they're going to consider you as an option, even if it means they get 10 or 15% less for their property.
Totally. And like I think about it this way, like the image I have, it's not a good image, but it's like, okay, so you're going to go list your house with a real estate agent. Maybe you have a perfect house, or maybe you have kind of a house that needs a little bit of work. Maybe it was a rental property previously, you have tenants to deal with, whatever. Your real estate agent is going to come in, they're going to do all this stuff with you, take some photos, good or bad, who knows. They're going to go put a sign up in front. Then they're going to schedule a couple walkthroughs with people. They're going to have an open house on a Saturday and maybe even a Sunday, which is really just to help them build out their list for people that they can cold call after that, right? They're going to do all these things that are like the standard checkbox realtor that haven't changed. Or they're going to have somebody that comes in that mails to them, directly markets to them, comes in with a value first mindset of like, how can I help you sell this house? Like, what can I do to actually release this burden from you and let you do what you're trying to do, what your end state goals are?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a totally different value add, right? So if you're showing up with that mindset, you're going to blow a real estate agent out of the water 9 times out of 10 on value and service that you can provide these people. And that's why, to your point, this is a great time why the retail side is just a bunch of real estate curious people walking through houses for you to come in and start chipping away at some of these deals.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and don't be like a greedy dick. Like, don't go in and offer someone 50 cents on the dollar for that turnkey house. Make them.
That's not how it works.
People always do that shit. And they're like, I don't understand how I'm supposed to get deals.
Like, I don't get I can't find any. I'm like, no shit.
Okay, I know. Like, we have you know, some of our partner clients right now, they're new to this, right? And they'll get in and we'll have a house and they're like, I want to get it for 200. And I was like, well, Zillow says it's worth 520. And then a week later, the seller's like, yeah, I signed with somebody else for 330. I'm like, well, no shit. Like, that makes perfect sense.
That's actually a good price.
But
for everybody.
Yeah, but you're seeing it across the board. I mean, we got another one we signed for one of our partners down in Central Idaho that was literally listed on the market 2 months ago for $675, and we just got it signed around at $500. And the house is literally turnkey, right? The story with it was they listed it a little bit high, dropped price, just lost favor on the market because it had been up for a while and everyone's like, what's wrong with it? I don't want to look at that one anymore. And they're looking to move out of town and they're just like, we need to get this thing over with. We set it at 500. The play will be to like basically vacuum the carpets, do some basic handyman touch-ups, throw it on the market for $599. Easy. It's going to be like slam dunk. It's going to require almost nothing. So, you know, I mean, and it's interesting. That's kind of been the joke as well as you've been talking, you know, with some of our coaching clients, you know, and some of our partners too, is we have all these stories about dealing with crackheads and trap houses and all those sort of things. Like, that isn't the bulk of our deals right now. Like,
no, it's actually not.
I would say we've had a massive reduction in those deals, primarily because those people have nowhere to go. So they're just going to stay in their situation. And there's been a huge increase of deals that are more turnkey, like super light rehab, ready to go properties, just because like those people have the ability to sell and move somewhere, and they really just need the convenience. And that is where the value is right now. So
how much longer are we going to do this? They just raised rates again. Today, actually, this will get released a week later. So the question is how long will this retail stalemate last? And then is that when the feeding ground is over for these types of deals in our business, or is the floodgates going to open if they start dropping?
I don't know.
Rates?
That's always the key question, isn't it? I mean, at this point, like, I don't think their decision on rates impacts everything, because it's been, 11 times in a row. So everyone's like, old news. Yeah. I'm kind of done with it. But, I think that the important thing is, as you're looking at marketing and making offers, that you really are sure to analyze opportunities like for yourself and like what you can buy them for, and, not like sort of put yourself in a box or, have these biases based off of like certain kinds of properties that you're interested in, or certain kinds of certain areas of town, things like that. Because if you do that, if you kind of limit yourself, you are the first person that loses when things start to change. Like, you need to be willing to be flexible and analyze all sides of a deal, regardless of what the seller says they want for the house, regardless of where it is, regardless of whether you'd want to live there. That's always a big thing that's shocking to me, is there's investors that are like, I only want to buy properties places I want to live. It's like, fine, it means you don't want to make any money. That's cool. I don't care. Yeah. But like, having that holistic view and understanding how to recognize opportunity is how it makes it so that when this stops, it doesn't really matter, because you get good at being an opportunist and not just like going by whatever the current trend is. So,
yeah, I would imagine there's a lot of people right now that aren't able to move forward because they only had one speed, and that was like Burr.
Yeah.
For your typical real estate investors that we've seen out there flooding into the market, like, hey, I have to buy a property, which they probably weren't getting great deals on anyways, but because the market was going up and rates were locked down at zero, they were able to burr most everything that they could get their hands on. And now that that's not an option, it's like, brakes are on, can't go to the next level, can't go to the next step, can't keep buying. So what do you do? Sit on the sidelines for 2 years?
Yeah. I mean, that's what people do, right? It's just like how in 2021, there was all the people that said, we have never bought houses with tenants, so we will not do that still, right? And what was the number one motivator that you and me made literally millions of dollars off of in 2021 was properties with tenants, because you couldn't evict them. That was the biggest stress point for most people across the country, right? Especially here in Washington, where people are super hard. And literally the process was, okay, we buy the house, we knock on the door, we say, hey, Mr. Tenant, you've been causing problems. We own this house now. We'll pay you $1,500 to leave. And they go, sweet. And then they leave. And we did that so many times.
Worked like a charm.
We had several houses where we made $50,000, $60,000 plus $1,000 by having a 10-minute conversation that the previous owner was afraid to have. Okay. But then the thing is too, is we get those deals, and the reason we started buying those is we try to wholesale them, and be like, oh bro, I don't do anything with tenants. And I remember the first couple we did like that, I was super nervous about it. And then we're like, oh, that was easy. Like, let's just do it again. And I think we only got bit once.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think of another time. Remember the one we sold to our act manager, and she just basically went in there and like almost drugged the tenant out because he didn't want to leave the tenant, right? Because we wholesaled it, and then she was going to take care of. She got under contract, and she really wanted it. It was a cute house, she said, and so she had the deal with the tenant, and it was like a big step for her to realize, because the guy was a dirtbag, and we would have done the same thing to get him out or paid him or whatever, and so she finally went in there and basically drug him out there. I think she told him she was going to drag him out if he didn't leave.
Well, she also brought her husband, who was like a huge black dude.
He was pretty nice guy.
Super nice guy.
Intimidated. She's definitely the one I'd be more afraid of.
For sure, but she was like small, and like just wasn't going to have the same power.
Small little blonde girl.
But, you got to do what you got to do, but but that's like perfect example though, right? Of like, that was a house that we bought that from a affluent homeowner, right? Property owner. They were actually a professor at Gonzaga, where we both went to school. They were sympathetic towards this person, took advantage of them. No one else really wanted to buy it. She just started with us and wanted to get into a flip, so we sold it to her, and then she saw the problem, and then she had her own problems with the renovation, but that was all self-inflicted. But,
oh, that's funny.
so, anyways.
Good times.
Yeah, so that's what we got going on with our stuff. We have had a closing frenzy this week. We have a bunch of stuff closing left and right, which is always just a good test of the process. I mean, I think if everything closes, it should be like 10 or something by the end of the week.
Yeah. We'll see how things work out. We've got a couple things just kind of teeter-tottering as typical with escrow. Yeah. I was funny in our kickoff today. I was talking about the title people. I finally got a hold of the front desk and I was like, here's the deal. If this lady can't call me back, I want another escrow officer assigned to me. And so immediately another escrow officer calls me and she's like, what's going on with this? And I was like, blah, blah, blah. She's like, and she hasn't called you back? And I was like, no. She's like, I'm on this. And then literally 30 minutes later, things started moving. I was like, sometimes you just got to put your foot down with the title company and really get after it, which, you know, they got a lot going on too, I guess.
It's so just like crazy to me how prevalent of a problem it is. I mean, we're in like 20 markets across the country now, and the only one that has a closing agent that I like is Spokane, because we have built that relationship over years, and we have the lady that we work with here.
She's on it. It's actually worse that she's on it, because I'm like, wait, we're having to buy. She's like, well, I know you're supposed to close on the property on the 28th. I'm like, that's 2 days away, and we're buying the property like we are with our money. It's like, oh crap. Yeah. No, I like her, and then we actually have a lawyer down in Mississippi that's on this stuff. Like, he can like literally close a property. I don't know how he does it, but he can like close a property in 3 days.
That's pretty sick.
Like, those are the kind of people, once you get them, no, don't like whatever they charge. Who cares if they email you or call you? Email and call them right back immediately.
Yeah.
Always, like, especially with those types of people. I mean, in general, anytime you're dealing with anything in business, really, be the first to respond. I think that always goes a long way with people, but definitely with your title companies, if you're having and working with somebody that responds quickly, match that and mirror that, because you're going to get even better service out of them.
And it's one of the most underrated relationships, I think, for new investors, is they think like, oh, I'll just find a title company. And even a lot of our partners, they do this. They're like, oh, I don't know, I'll find one when we get deals moving. And it's always like, no. You establish that now.
Like, well, you don't know
this, right? Like, if we get a weird seller that needs to close in 2 weeks because they have a pre-foreclosure or a tax lien, or they're they're trying to leave town because they did something illegal and they're not going to tell you about it, right? Like, you need to have that relationship already established, or you're not going to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and that person, you would hope when you connect with them, understands the long game, because there are going to be some transactions where they're going to have to do a little bit more work than they're used to doing. Because you are dealing with some weird situations or whatever happens. But if they can really understand and see the long game, and this goes with obviously anybody in your sphere of influence, but definitely with your transaction team, because like that long game, they're going to make more than enough money on all the transactions you're going to bring them. You're not a one and done, a two and done. You're going to bring them 50 a year. That's huge for them and their business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's just like every other sort of business, right? If you can be one of their 20% of clients, that's 80% of their revenue, they're going to treat you the best, right? That
they're going to treat you the best.
80-20 rules.
You might get a fruit basket at Christmas.
Yeah. Did we get one this year? I don't know if we did.
I don't know.
I guess we didn't do enough business last year. We got one 2 years ago.
we didn't meet the tier, the fruit basket tier.
We got one in 2021. I remember, but
and you ate it all.
Did I? I thought you went. Well, I mean, it probably went to UPS store and everything rotted, because we only get stuff there once a month.
I have no idea. Yeah, you're right. I don't remember.
But
no, whatever.
So, anyways, have you heard about this new social media platform?
Wait, I'm still on Threads.
No. We're on the next one now. It's called X.
Oh.
Have you actually not heard?
I can already tell you it's going to fail because I am out of the news loop this week.
Have you actually not heard about this?
Yeah. X? No. What?
Oh, dude, I'm so excited.
Am I missing?
Yeah, you're totally missing something. The X social media platform. Look it up on your phone right now.
X social media. What am I going to get?
I'm just so excited for your...
X social media. Get more qualified clients using social media and digital TV.
Okay, apparently it didn't show up.
Is that not the right one?
No. So okay. Elon Musk has officially rebranded Twitter as X.
Oh, no way. Are you why?
I don't know, dude. Because when you have a multi-billion-dollar company that's floundering, you might as well do something wacky. Try to figure it out.
It still says Twitter on my phone, though.
I mean, it still says it, so they can't figure out how to change like the handle, right? But yeah, so if you look it up, like they've changed like the profile picture, and there's like all this campaign about how it's X now. But the funny thing is
oh, I see it. This.
yeah, there you go. But people are joking because there's you know, like videos and stuff on there, and people are saying, oh yeah, it's on like the new X videos, but that's like a porn site, I guess.
Oh, that's so. I wonder if he did it like that. Like I could see him doing it that way. It's just
I mean, he could be. He kind of trolls that way.
Funny.
Someone pointed this out to me the other day about this is how you know, Elon Musk kind of is. If you think about the models of Tesla, okay, so we have the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, the Model Y. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
It's about sexy. Yeah, that's just like him at its core. But
oh yeah, and like everything's like he'll like price things for like 420 or 69 or something like that. Like I'm like, dude, what is going on? You're like a dude in your 50s.
I know.
This baby's 60. Oh, I mean, I'm laughing.
So
I mean, I get it.
Stupid, man.
I guess so this is one of their posts. It was just says more words over and over and over again.
You can't see that because it's all.
Oh, you can't. Oh, it's
on your ring light.
Sorry, yeah. Oh, my bad. Yeah, it just says more words, like 100 times. Yeah. That's the Twitter's post called the X.
That's funny. Yeah, I just saw that. It was so stupid.
No, I didn't know that.
Then the funny thing is like this is one of the people that like rules the world. Like they have like insane influence and things, and this is what they do with their energy. Yeah. But,
okay, so if you were worth 100 billion plus. What would you be doing?
If I was worth
That's the real question. I mean, we had a conversation about jet skis before the show. I'm not going to bring that up here. But like, would you buy a nice jet ski?
If I had, I mean, I would buy the jet ski company. I would buy Ski-Doo.
Okay.
If I was worth,
it's not Ski-Doo. It's Sea-Doo.
Sea-Doo. What?
Ski-Doo is their snowmobile brand. You got
whatever. I'd buy both, and I do a roll up. Right.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But like, if you're, I wouldn't buy jet ski.
No, what you would do is you would buy the jet ski. You would buy a jet ski, the best jet ski, and then you would throw it away in the ocean when you're done. You wouldn't want the company. You just want to ride the jet ski for a couple hours.
I mean, you don't even need to be a billionaire to do that. Like the jet skis aren't that expensive. True. You and me could do that.
Yeah, but I don't want to like throw it away in the ocean. I feel bad about that. When you're a billionaire and you're ambivalent and all that sort of stuff.
I don't want to throw away in the ocean because I don't want to pollute things. But I mean, I don't know. I'll send it off.
The point is you're a billionaire and you don't care.
No, but they should care. That's the problem.
You throw things away.
They should care.
You buy a social media platform for $42 billion and you just throw it away.
You buy it on accident because you run your mouth and then they hold you to it.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, it's basically the equivalent of like, so like let's say that we had like a seller that was an asshole, and we're like, we'll give you $1 million for your house. That's like a heap of shit. And then, he goes and like does all these things, right, to like hold you to it to the point that you're like, damn, I guess I actually do have to buy this house for $1 million, even though it's not worth that. That's essentially what happened to him. Right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've bought houses we don't really want to buy. Sometimes you just run your mouth.
Yeah, but anyway.
I guess I should rephrase it. We've bought houses that I don't really want to buy.
You don't want to buy anything. I feel like almost every house we've ever bought, you haven't wanted to buy it.
Yeah. And now I'm more so than anything. I'm like, God, that seems like work. Buying a house. Oh my gosh.
Like we have this one that we talked about before that's like the nice turnkey house. We did everything that we could really think of to like not buy that house. To literally the point that we
played hard
to get. We even like and not that it's not a bad house. It's a great house. We're just fully focused on our collecting keys business and our partnership business right now. And this is going to be a distraction. But the people came back and they were like, please, will you buy it for 5% down? We'll give you awesome terms on the seller finance and stuff. And we're like, at this point, it's just stupid not to. Like, even if we just buy it and we do nothing with it.
It's just rude not to buy it at this point.
We just like let it sit there. Like, we'll come out ahead at the end of it. We don't have to do anything with it. Yeah. So, I don't know. You know what I'm interested to see happens with real estate though is all the stuff down in Florida with like all these insurance companies.
I know
that stuff's like
that's a big
legitimately a big problem. And the thing is too, people are kind of making jokes and stuff about that. Here's the thing about insurance companies. Insurance companies they employ some of the like smartest minds when it comes to like data and like analyzing trends and all those sort of things. So typically when insurance companies, right, they're all in the business about hedging bets about what's going to happen, and their goal is to, you know, basically provide security, right, off of things that you're worried about happening but technically have a low risk of happening, right?
Yep.
When they start to pull out of like an area, that means their analysts have been like, this is no longer like the odds are no longer in our favor. We are now betting against the house on this, and we don't like that, so we're going to back away. And that's kind of freaking scary when they're doing that in terms of like weather, you know, and they're worried about like the ocean rising
which
and
insurance
stuff.
companies? Which ones have? I know Farmers pulled out. Is there any other big names that pulled out? I mean, I'm assuming the General pulled out.
The General.
Have you seen those commercials?
And that's like a flashback to my childhood with like those really shitty animated things.
DUIs.
Yeah, so I know it.
No worries.
I know Farmers has. I think a couple other have. I haven't actually seen the full list, but the thing is, once one does it and sets the precedence, others will follow very, very quickly.
There could also be an opportunity for insurance companies to swoop in and take up a bunch of market share.
So that is something that's happening. But of course, because now there is a monopoly forming in that market, because all the people are backing out, they're like, awesome, we are now going to 10x our rates to get insurance here.
Yeah.
You know, and so I've been reading on Reddit these sort of situations where, and it's funny, it's always people talking about their grandma, because everyone's grandma lives in Florida, especially if you're on the East Coast. And they're like, yeah, so my grandma just had her insurance increase from $1,800 to $12,000 for the year. It's like, grandma's on Social Security. She can't afford that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a major thing.
That's crazy.
But like,
that is crazy.
What's that going to do with the property values there as a whole? You know, people are fleeing that, but that's going to start affecting people's, you know, their ability to pay their mortgage payments, right? Their monthly payments, you know, them to be able to qualify for loans. Ultimately, that does bring down property values. It has to, because like
it's like having a high tax district, right? If you have a high tax district, property values are typically lower.
Austin, Texas, right? The only reason properties in Austin, Texas are not $3 million is because they have the most disgusting tax rate that I've ever seen anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was looking at buying a property down there earlier this year, the house that I was looking to buy was like, it's like $28,000 a year in taxes or something insane.
That's just mind blowing. Also because Texas has a state income tax, correct?
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have a state income tax.
For some reason, I thought
I don't think so. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Yeah. Either way, I was going to kind of make that argument that if they had both, then that's just a crazy reason. I mean, property taxes are tough to tag to a property too, because it increases the cost of living for people.
Exactly, right. And so that
good.
brings down property values, because, you know, us as investors, we kind of look at like the higher value. What matters most to consumers is the monthly cost, right? Most people don't. That's why like property values went insane in 2021, because people don't care what the house actually costs. Most people live month to month by their budget, and they look like, okay, we could afford this on a monthly basis. And if that amount is higher, that's going to bring property values down, because people are going to pay whatever they need to pay to be able to pay that monthly payment, right?
And the thing that sucks that most people don't look at is their actual overall monthly payment. They look at principal and interest, because that's what their lender tells them. Their agent doesn't tell them, well, like the property taxes are going to be this much or that much. And then if you actually look at the house where we live now, they do automated appraisals and updating to the property taxed value. So immediately, if you bought a house you go and look at their taxes and you're like, oh, it's only $5,000 a month. Well, that's when it was worth $500, but you just paid $900 for it. So now your property taxes are going to nearly double, and they don't actually see that until they get their actual PITI statement from the mortgage company after they put the offer in, and you're like, oh boy.
Yeah. Well, or like after you've owned the house for 2 years, like me,
then it jumps
like
up.
me right now in this house. I guess not quite 2 years. I think I moved in here last year. I can't remember.
I bet you it's been 2 years.
Was it 2021 I moved in this house? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You helped me buy it, but
I don't remember.
But either way, I got a notice from my lender, I guess from the county lender, whatever, that my monthly payment's increasing $700 a month. because I'm in a new development, and there's people around the development that have like been buying the houses for $900, $950, these higher price points, which is several $100,000 more than I bought. So my monthly payment's increasing a huge amount. So now you have all the people that really stretched to lock in those lower interest rates. Now they're going to start getting bit by the extra taxes. Like, imagine being a standard homeowner with like has 2 salaries, you kind of live month by month, and all of a sudden you have an extra $700 a month that you have to pay.
It's pretty shitty, and that's where I think California in some senses had this right, where they wouldn't increase your property taxes if you bought it. The thing that happened though is I think they allowed that loophole to stay closed or open if it was like generational, where it's like, no, what it really should be is like, if you own the house and you live in the house as your primary residence, your taxes should not go up while you live there.
Well, I mean, there's loopholes around that too, right? You just buy it with an entity, and then you sell
That's
that
what I
entity
mean.
to
I think
somebody else. Like, and there's never a change of ownership, so they never see it.
And I mean, I guess I'm okay with that. I'm all about loopholes, but like in my point being is like to take care of people, especially elderly people that tend to stay in place. Like that really does, like for me and you, I have the same issue. My property taxes have gone up about, I don't even know how, a lot per month. Since I've lived here, like over and over every year it's going up. I can absorb that because first of all, my income has been increasing beyond inflation every year because that's just how I've been growing. If you're just a person on a fixed income or a standard job, you can't take a $700 a month hit, especially if you're buying it at at the brink of what people are now. I think it used to be like 30% of it your income should go to housing, and now they're quoting that people are almost up towards 40% lately,
50.
because that's I'm sure there's some extreme cases, but on average across the country, it's like 40%, which is actually pretty tough because of what people actually have left over to budget for actual expenses other than shelter. So it's just, it's kind of a shitty situation.
Yeah, I know. So
look out for that.
Yeah, I mean, and for the retail side and like property values, that's a big thing because, it's going to reduce the values of properties. It's going to make it so people get priced out, things like that. But also as an investor, you got to keep this in mind for your rentals. Because like same with like this neighborhood, let's say you own a rental up where I'm at, and you were thinking you gotten $500 a month in cash flow, and all of a sudden they increase your monthly tax to $700 a month. Yeah. Now you're negative, right? And your house is worth less because less people are going to be able to afford that monthly payment. So you need to make sure that you are kind of hedging in these additional increases that can happen. And it's also one of the reasons I really do not think it's a great time to be buying rentals unless you can get something creative figured out, or like just an absolutely
or follow where like the investment's being incentivized, right? Like so if there's incentives where like, and this is where like if you can step into the bigger arena and like building apartment buildings, there's like tax deferrals and things in certain areas because they need affordable housing. And so if you can somehow figure out and track where in a local area that there is affordable housing needs, they typically will have things like tax or you can get like interest-free loans up to a certain amount from like local municipalities and stuff like that. So then you can actually afford to buy a rental. Yeah. But if you're just trying to do it, back to the earlier conversation, if you're a one-trick pony and you're just trying to burr things that you found on the MLS or bought from another wholesaler, you're not going to be able to build a business. You're not going to be able to do anything but sit on the sidelines. You have to get creative and you have to find where you can invest and actually make a good return.
Exactly. Back to what we said at the very beginning of the show. If you're in that box, you're not going to get anything done right now. You have to be flexible. You have to be educated on the different options that you have, and you have to be willing to take shots. Like that's the ultimate thing too, is whenever you listen to all these different podcasts and pieces of media and things out there with these investors that have these deals that now seem like home runs, I can guarantee you at the time that they like made a decision to buy that property, there was some risk and some gray area that they decided to, push past and just go for it, and then it paid out in the long run. And that's the key to any sort of success, especially in a business like this. So,
yep, you got to shoot your shot.
Exactly.
Take the risk.
Cool. Anything else, Dan, before we sign off here?
No, I'm good.
Right on. Cool, guys. Well, we appreciate you all listening. You should all check out our Instant Investor program. If you go to collectingkeyspodcast.com, up there in the top right, there's a little button that says Become an Instant Investor. You should click on that, and you can get some details about what we offer. And we don't like plug this hard that much, but it is really going off right now. Like, I feel like if you look at percentage of people that are doing deals to other masterminds, we have to be near the top because we're at basically like 100% at this point.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of lurkers.
No.
Like everybody we got, they're active, which is really cool to see because I mean that's how you build a community of people that can help each other and share knowledge, is by people doing stuff. If you're just lurking and showing up to hang out with Mike and Dan, you're not going to get much.
Yeah,
out of
you're
it.
not. If you want to be around like a bunch of Mike and Dans at this point that are just like hitting out deals out of the park left and right, you should definitely come check it out. So collectingkeyspodcast.com, click Become an Instant Investor up there on the top right, and you can get some information, or you can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Mike_invest. I'd love to chat with you about what that looks like. Besides that, guys, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and share this podcast with anyone who might have any interest in making money, real estate, kind of just the news of the world in general, or just listen to two guys talk about nothing too. It's also good general audience for that. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you all next week.
See y'all.